have not yet, if you have not yet, if you could please open up the chat icon on the bottom of your screen. Most of you will have it on the bottom of your screen. Some of you will have it under an area where there are three dots if you're calling in from your phone, and sometimes it's a drop down, but it says chat. And if you could click on the chat icon, if you have not yet, open it up and then drop in your information in the chat. We'd love to get a sense of who's on the line. A lot of times connections will happen from that. So open up the chat. The other thing we're going to ask for you to drop in today is your LinkedIn URL. So you can get that ready and drop that in when you're ready. And I'll also drop instructions in the chat on how to put the LinkedIn URL in so people can click on it and connect with you. So question for you all. I'm seeing a lot of this happening in the chat right now. There are some people here that were recently laid off. Yes, we are seeing that happening. And so you're in the right place at the right time. We have some great resources for you guys and some amazing content. We have some of our best speakers here today. So what I would love for you to do is, if you are actively looking for a new job, actively, so maybe you got laid off, or you're in between jobs, or you're like working, but you're definitely looking, drop a 1 in the chat. Drop a 1 if you are actively looking for a job. If you are what we call maybe passively looking, so you're working and you're okay, but you kind of want to see what else is out there, if you could go ahead and drop a 2 in the chat. And that will give us a sense of if you are, kind of just passively looking. And Wendy, I want to just let you know that we're no longer seeing the PowerPoint. So if you could get that back up, that would be great. And then if you are a community partner, a speaker, a volunteer, a resource, could you drop a 3 in the chat? And so a 1 if you're actively looking, a 2 if you are just kind of putting your foot out there, kind of seeing what's available, and then a 3 if you are a support resource today, or a speaker, or a volunteer. Thank you so much. This is so you guys can get a sense of who is on the call today. There's a lot of people actively looking. We also have people that are kind of just seeing what's available and what's out there, getting some professional development. And then we have a lot of resources available for you. So that is who is on the call today. Thank you all for being here from all over the place. A little bit about Career Connectors. We are based in Arizona. You can probably tell that from the chat. A lot of the audience today is from Arizona. We are based in Arizona, but we serve nationally. And so we are all about building stronger communities through building stronger careers. And we provide resources, employer connections, and hopefully hope for you guys to take your next step. I want to go through a couple technical things. First of all, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat. We're going to ask everyone to stay muted on the call today until the breakout sessions towards the end. And so if you could make sure you stay muted, but drop any questions in the chat. We have talented professional people, speakers, career coaches, resume writers, LinkedIn coaches on the call right now. You can see from the chat all the 3s that were dropped. So all those are people that are resources today. So if you could make sure to drop your questions in the chat. Our speakers will, after they talk, will go back through and kind of look through it to see any questions that they can respond to that they weren't able to answer. And so make sure that you're dropping those questions in the chat today. Also, from a display standpoint, if you can keep the display, or if you want to see the best view of the display, so basically that's mostly the PowerPoint slide along with whoever is speaking, that is going to be on speaker view. So if you go on the top of your screen into view, then click speaker view. That will show the PowerPoint and who is speaking. All right, and then towards the end of the call, at about an hour and a half in, we will go into breakout rooms. So don't get off the call too early, because at the breakout room session, you will be able to talk directly to the speakers today. You'll be able to talk to professional resume writers, LinkedIn coaches, interview coaches, and so on. We have a ton of resources for you at the end of the event today, and that will last for an hour. So it's a great time to ask some questions. We also have closed captioning available. So it's an icon on the bottom of your screen. and it says closed captioning or live transcript, something like that for you. And it will allow it says show captions for some of us. It will allow the closed captioning to come. All right, so our agenda today is you are going to hear from the great Justin Jones on Work Harder, Smarter, Not Harder, and he's going to talk about AI. And so I know a lot of people get nervous when it comes to AI, thinking that AI is going to take our jobs. And I think everyone needs to learn a little bit about AI and how it works, because it is so effective in supporting what you're doing. It doesn't take over, but it supports. And so Justin's going to give you guys some great content and advice on that. And then you're going to hear from Dave Sherman, some effective strategies for quickly landing a job. And then we have Arizona at Work. The city of Phoenix is here today to provide some resources. And if you are in Arizona, there's a ton of resources statewide, and the city of Phoenix is going to talk about their resources, and then it's kind of duplicated throughout Arizona. If you are not in Arizona, you have a version of this support services in your state. It looks different for every state, but I think Amanda will be able to give you guys some really good guidance on what is available and how you can get support. And then I am actually supporting a project in Flagstaff, Arizona today. I live in Phoenix. And so I'm only going to be doing the kickoff, and then our executive director, Joey Richardson, will be stepping in to do the rest of the MC today. And then she will be closing it out. And then you can see the list of breakout rooms we have at the end of the call today. And then we will be closing down about 11:30 a.m. And that is Pacific Standard Time. So, and I'm going to right now, if you have not, oh, good. I see some people dropping in the chat their LinkedIn URL. So I just dropped instructions in the chat on how to do that. So basically what you want to do is jump over to open a browser, jump over to your browser and go to your LinkedIn profile. And the way that you do that is open LinkedIn. And I always tell people, click on your picture. If you click on your picture, it'll take you to your main profile. Your main profile will have your URL in the top search bar. If you just right click that and copy, then you can paste it into the chat. And that's what makes it blue, because blue is important because it's clickable. So we can see a lot of people, Will, Mary, April, Kara, Amanda, thank you so much. They're all dropping in their blue clickable LinkedIn URL. So you can click on that and then connect. And the reason we encourage you to do that is because we're not face-to-face right now. Today we're in a virtual event, and we want people connecting with people. Sometimes LinkedIn will stop and only allow you to connect to so many people per day. And so connect with some of the people in the chat. You will also get this event link in your email today. So we are recording it. You will get the event link in your email where you'll be able to click and watch back anything you want. We are not sending out the PowerPoint. It's a huge file. It has some intellectual property built into it as well. But the webinar, you'll be able to watch back any of this content. So look for that as well after. All right, so some really great stuff today. I'm so excited. I have to tell you, we have some of the original speakers from Career Connectors all the way back to 2009 here today. They have been with us for 15 years. They're some of the best in the business. I can't wait for you all to hear from Justin and Dave. They're legit. And I'm just so excited. I'm sad. I'm missing it. I'm going to have to watch it back, because every time I've heard them each, you guys, I've probably heard them probably 20, 30, 40 times. I don't know, a lot. And every single time they bring something new. And so Justin Jones is a distinguished career coach known for his unparalleled ability to help individuals recognize and communicate their inherent value. Affectionately referred to as Job Coach Justin, he thrives on the success of his clients, cherishing the moment they say, "I got the job." With over 20 years of experience, Justin has coached thousands of individuals, providing invaluable insights into effective interviewing techniques in the pursuit of meaningful careers. His dynamic approach and empathetic nature have made him a sought-after public speaker and facilitator, and he is currently the Director of Career Services at Brigham Young University, and Justin leads a dedicated team of career coaches, guiding students through the complexities of the modern job market. His expertise extends beyond the classroom. He has shared his knowledge and passion for career development through a lot of interviews with radio, television, newspaper, and has also made notable appearances on platforms such as the Lisa Show podcast. His dedication to clients and profession has solidified his reputation. Please connect with him on LinkedIn. He would love to connect you. He shares really, really great content, and he is a dear friend of mine and our program. So please help me give a warm welcome to Justin Jones.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. My goodness, who wrote that? That needs to be gone through ChatGPT and edited. It's so great to be with you all today. I've got my headphones in. Can everyone hear me okay? Are we good? All right, just wanted to make sure. Oh, you guys, this is such an exciting and thrilling and aggravating time. I know that many of you might have received like warn notices, or this is a real frustrating time for you as many companies have announced layoffs and things like that. So I just want to say thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with us today. We have people from all over the country, east to west, north to south, and it is really incredible that you have found this resource, and I hope that you will continue to use this resource. Also, Jessica mentioned I am on LinkedIn, and you will find me by typing in Job Coach Justin. You will find me on LinkedIn. I am so happy to be here and share this experience and this journey with you. Now, as we talk today, it's such a hot topic, and it seems like it's changing, at least as I look at it, every 5 minutes. I have updated this presentation today, so hopefully we have some of the latest and greatest information. But I also know that some of you are like, what are we even talking about? I was on a walk with my wife last night, and she's like, I never use AI. I really don't know much about it. And I was like, that's really interesting. You're probably using it and don't even know it. So to get a feel for where you all are at, if you use AI every day, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. If you've been watching the Olympics, I swear they talk about AI every single commercial, there's always talk about AI. So if you're like, if I've heard of it, go ahead and put a 2 in the chat. If you are like, I don't even know what we're getting into, but it sounds like Skynet and the Terminator, go ahead and put a 3. It's okay. But we've got people kind of all over the board with this. Now, if you have been using AI for your job search, I want you to put in a number 4. Great, 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 great. So many of you. Now, there's hundreds of people on this call, but at least 50 of you are using AI in your job search. So you may have some comments that you may put in the chat of experiences of things that are working for you, that aren't working for you, or even resources that I'm not going to talk about that have been really useful to you, like free resume generators or bots that you're using to talk or whatever. But as we get started, I just wanted to get a feel about who you're familiar with, where you're at. We've got people all over the board today. So I am basically starting with, what is it? Why should I even care? And we'll move through to, how can I use this in my job search to be working smarter and not harder? So with that, thank you so much. Also, the questions that come in, Joey and others I'll get to those. And if there's we'll have a Q&A at the end here. So with this, what is AI? It's been around since the 1960s, just so you know. But the internet was around for a lot longer than anyone else knew, unless they were actually working on it. What happened in this past year is that AI became accessible to the masses through what we call large language models. Now, if we want to go ahead and go to the next slide, let's just define what we're talking about as far as AI is concerned in our use. It's basically simulation of what human beings are trying to do, but it's a machine doing it instead. And it's allowing the machines to perform these tasks, but also learning every time certain data is put in. And so it's trying to aggregate information, similar to what Amazon does. When you go to Amazon and it says, you look at a product and it says, other people who've looked at this product also looked at these products. It's basically learning, hey, people who looked at this also liked these. Maybe we can make more money on them buying these things. Now, that's not our focus today. Our focus is on what are some of the things that AI and these large language learning models, or LLMs for short, how can I use that to assist me in my job search? So there are different types of AI. There's narrow AI, which is very task specific. It's designed for a particular task. There's generative AI, and that's mostly what we're talking about with these large language models. It's human-like intelligence, or trying to become that, and trying to outperform humans at nearly every cognitive human task. That's kind of the goal of generative AI. And then there's super intelligent AI, and some of you may have actually worked with this, but where it's actually surpassing human intelligence across all fields. So if you're wondering where the future is going, that's what AI's goal is to become super intelligent AI and take all of this data and all of this information to make our lives simpler. Now, it literally does sound like a Terminator movie to me at some point. I don't want AI to ever be that, but I do want us to be able to consider AI, and here are some platforms that you may have heard of. So if you're familiar with any of these, you can just raise your hand. The first one, ChatGPT. The second one is Microsoft, which has recently rebranded their name as Copilot. Google has recently, again, it's only been a year and they've already rebranded these names. Google's browser that uses AI is called Gemini. And then I'm interested in this one. Has anyone actually used Claude? Claude has some advantages that some of the others don't, as far as what they limit and how they generate things and being able to upload documents and things like that. But it's really, there's so many more than these four, but these are the most popular ones that people are using. And like I said, if you were one of the people who said, hey, I'm using AI every day, you might pop into the chat some of the ones that you're using if they're not some of the, or they're not within these four. I do want you to be a little familiar with what these look like. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. This is what ChatGPT looks like. I have a black background. When you pull it up, it may be white, but I choose the dark mode. It's easier on my eyes. And what you cannot read at the very bottom of this, maybe if you squint or you have a magnifying glass, but right under the search bar where it says message ChatGPT, it says ChatGPT may or can make mistakes. Check all important information. Interestingly enough, if we go to the next slide, you're going to notice these start to look very similar. So this is Copilot, colorful, fun. You can make all sorts of images with this. They recently just rolled out where they're not limiting the number of searches. It used to be between 10 or the number of images you could make per day, like 30. The images is still limited to 30. You won't necessarily need that for your job search, but your queries, you can ask unlimited according to Copilot. Next screen. All right, so this one is Gemini. This is Google's platform. And you'll notice again at the very bottom in teeny tiny writing, it says Gemini may make mistakes. Please check your work, fact check this. So what's happening here? Why are they saying this? The information is basically what is fed into the model. And so, yes, they have backloaded and entered all sorts of data, but they are not perfect models. So you just want to be careful that you fact check. There was actually a lawsuit where early on last year, they used ChatGPT to build their argument and did not fact check it and went into court with it. And that was a big error. So I don't want you to suffer in that way. I do want you to fact check. But for most of what we're doing today, it's not really a fact check process. Basically, these models are going to go out and search the internet from all corners of the World Wide Web and bring information back to you that you'll pretty well have a sense of whether this is good or this is kind of mid-level, or I'm really getting some great data here that's helping me out. And don't worry, I'm gonna help you get there. There is a question that I want to answer from Mary Gazada. My question is, can employers reverse search the resume and cover letter to determine how much AI was involved in the creation? And the answer is yes and no. Meaning, yes, if they've paid for something to do that. And the answer no is most of them are not willing to pay for something like that. However, I work at a university, and so there are real ethical questions about AI and how much we use it and how we're using it. And so even from the publishing world, you'll notice if you go onto Amazon.com and you look at books, and they may say that they are authored by an individual or a company and AI, something to look at. Meta, so the parent company of Facebook, is also building in ways that they will be able to tell how much of this is generated by AI and how much of this is generated by a human. Probably they can't gauge the human side, but they can gauge how much has been done with AI. However, the good news for you about this, so getting back to your question, Mary, is the fact that a resume, a cover letter, those are not copyrighted works. They are not in the realm of you know, there's not such thing as plagiarism in a resume. What you will want to be aware of is how you are using and how much you are using. But I love to say this, and it's actually coming up in another slide, but it's okay. I love to use AI as a starting point, not as the ending point. So it's to generate ideas. It's to get you unstuck when you are having trouble with wordsmithing or the way that you want to say something, or it's helpful to you when you're trying to look at what are the requirements for this role and do I meet them? Do I have a gap? All of these kinds of things. So Mary, I really appreciate the question. Thank you for that. Let's go ahead and go to the next screen. This one is Claude. This one you may not be as familiar with. This one does require that you sign in. And I think Copilot has just changed that too, that if you really want to use the majority of the tools, it just used to be embedded with Microsoft, but now they ask you to create a free login for that. So just be aware. Claude will ask you the same thing, and so will ChatGPT. They'll ask you to create a login that allows you access to that product, but it's still free, So just want you to be aware of that. I also want to see what Jesse Kramer. Yes, I wanted to tell you that the way you're using AI and not even knowing it, it is built into LinkedIn. I was just scheduling a trip to California with my wife on booking.com, and there is a new text field, a little box that says AI. And when you go to that, you can literally put in, and this is what I did because I was having trouble finding exactly what I wanted. I said, I want a beachfront ocean view on the Pacific coast between Santa Monica and Malibu. I want it to be 1 bedroom, and I want it to be close to some great eateries. So instead of going through and ticking all of the filters, I just used AI on that website, and it came up and gave me the ones that I wanted to. I should have said all for less than $1 billion, because when I did that, wow, they showed me some things that one day I hope to take advantage of. Today is not that day. They were also incredibly expensive, but with AI, the same thing. I learned that, I can also say, I'm going to narrow this. Please don't make it over, $1 million. I would like to be able to stay there sometime. So anyway, you are using this. It's being embedded into all of the browsers that you're used to using, all of the search engines that you're used to using. And so I guarantee you within the next 6 to 9 months, this will become so very usual to anyone who's using a computer, anyone who's using a cell phone. If you are one of those people that are not, I would express to you a great reason to start is that you don't want to get left behind in that AI wave. It's going to become far more natural for you to be able to do it. One of the things I mentioned with the Olympics is one of the commentators, he said, you know, you can either embrace it or you can avoid it. I choose to embrace it. So what they've done is when you're watching the Olympics, you can actually get your own commentator to give you your own data and information for every Olympic sport that's happening that day. And they have actually recorded his voice, and now he is an AI bot that reads you the stats from the Olympics each day. And he's like, I'm going to embrace it. So you get to choose at what level you play, but I do want you and hope to convince you today that you will start to play with this a little bit. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. This one is really where I want to give you some of the strengths and some of the limitations that you're going to find when utilizing touching base with AI. I've already lightly touched on a few of these things, but here's where I suggest that you really dive in and play with AI. For idea generation, it's a fantastic way at providing a wide variety of outputs in very, very little time. In fact, some of you, if you've never played with this, I think your mind just may boop today when you see how quickly some of this comes to your fingertips. It's an incredible way for you to summarize information. So you can feed AI massive amounts of information, volumes, pages. You can cut and paste the entire dictionary if you wanted and just throw it in to ChatGPT or one of these models, and they can then condense it at your request and make prompt summaries, create bullet statements, create tables, create outlines. I was just on last night because I told you I was going to California. I was like, okay, please give me an outline for a weekend in the Southern California from Santa Monica to Malibu. I found great eateries, all based on information that it had aggregated. So the other thing you can do is for drafting and writing, and this is where it becomes important to you. So it can assist you in producing drafts, or helping you overcome those writer's blocks, or just that part where you're stuck, like, I'm not really sure how to word this bullet statement. They say it this way in their job description, or I know that this is important in their industry, but they don't say anything about that in their job description. How do I get it into my resume? It can be helpful for that. It can suggest sentence structures for you, provide synonyms. Somebody else has to say recidivism later, and I feel sorry for them. But or even it can generate paragraphs of information like cover letter, thought prompts, and provide you some information. So I think that's the majority of the place that you might use it. But it also can do data analysis and pattern recognition. So if you put in 10 job descriptions into one of these models that you just went out on LinkedIn or any of the job search websites, and you pulled them from any part of the country that were, I saw a lot of people not-for-profit are on this call today. So you just go and you put in a not-for-profit search in Google for not-for-profit jobs, and you don't care where they are in the country. You just want to analyze what they all are looking for. You can go out there, you can grab 10 of them, you can throw all of that, just cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste, throw it in there, prompt it and say, I just want to know the top 10 things that every single one of these jobs is looking for. And in seconds, you will have a list and it will aggregate. These are things that showed up in every one of those job descriptions. Wait, what? Oh, that sounds like a great way to spend my day, as opposed to combing all of these job boards and wanting to go drown myself in the pool in Arizona because it's 110 degrees. So really great at synthesizing data. Also, automation of repetitive tasks. When you get onto this model, I want you to treat it as if this is your personal assistant. Remember Rosie from the Jetsons? Some of you are too young to even know what the Jetsons are, but you can always Google it. But Rosie was like the housekeeper and took care, the housekeeper robot that just took care of things for this Jetson family. Well, think of this as you asking a robot to do some heavy lifting for you. So automate tasks like generating bullet statements, or you can even feed this anything that you have written and say, I want you to catalog this as my writing so that it can get to know your style, your tone, your way of doing things. Generative AI will use itself to learn the way that you handle these type of things. So, sorry, I was just looking at the chat and I got distracted. That reminds me of a movie called Smart House. Yeah, check that out on YouTube. It's from like 1999. But the other thing is you can use this as a personal tutor. So there are tutorials, there are super in-depth explanations of information. This is where you would want to fact check. So you could ask it to tell you the history of the civil rights movement in the United States from the perspective of someone in the Soviet Union. Now, if you did that, that is something that I would fact check. That is something where it's going to go out to the throughout the World Wide Web and just extract information that you would definitely want to fact check before you ever presented that in an interview, in a presentation, anything like that. So I just want you to be aware. So the question from, I believe it's Arian, said, how do you catalog as my style to learn the way I write? Literally, Arian, you're going to cut what you just said and paste it into the model or into the search bar, and then add something that you've written. So if it's a letter, if it's a cover letter, if it's a resume, if it's a paper that you wrote in college, if it's works that you have submitted to the newspaper, anything that you have written that you have on a Word document, maybe you generated a report, anything that you've done, you could say, these are the things that I have done, that I have written in my tone of voice, and it will learn that about you. Isn't that wild? It's wild and creepy at the same time, but it's cool. So I do want you to go ahead and play with it. And here's the other thing. There are some limitations that we've got to talk about. So let me talk about the limitations. Always cross-reference your information, just like the Soviet Union example I was giving you, or the former Soviet Union. Limit your scope. So use your AI, I said this earlier, for preliminary research and brainstorming rather than your final conclusion or the critical decision. And also be very aware that if you have any proprietary information, that you do not want to put that into any of these large language generative AI models, because it is basically taking that as public information. So if you have any protected private information, I do not recommend that you use these AI models to help you generate that report for the C-suite. Maybe you just have it do an outline and then you do that part in Microsoft Word or Google Docs or whatever it is that you're using. And you can actually have it copied or downloaded for those formats. So just want you to be aware. Kathleen, you're really great too about asking. I like to just ask it, hey, what questions should I be asking? And I'll show you some examples of that as we get a little further in. Understanding these limitations, I just want you to familiarize yourself with some of these pitfalls, and you're going to recognize them. You're going to see, oh, it always responds with these $10 words. Maybe I could get it to do something a little more conversational, and that's a prompt that you can do. Also, you'll start to notice some biases when you're using either Copilot or Gemini or things like that. So as you play with it, just start to recognize, oh, okay. And so to the question earlier about will a recruiter, will somebody recognize that I'm using AI? They will if you just leave it in the AI format. And here's why. Because we get hundreds of resumes and cover letters every day, especially when there's a lot of layoffs or a downturn in the economy. We're going to see that. And so don't think that just because Gemini wrote it to you doesn't mean that they haven't used that same structure or format for somebody else. And so I mostly am talking about a cover letter here, or a summary statement, because it is learning, but you'll start to notice some of those limitations, like this sounds stale or this sounds repetitive. And when I'm getting 100 of those a day, I'm going to notice. Oh yeah, this was Chat GPT. So you don't want somebody to read your stuff and feel like, oh, this is Chat GPT. You know how else they're going to know? When you come to the interview and you don't speak anything like your cover letter. So I don't want it to be your ending point. I want it to be your starting point to help you get through those writer's blocks, to help generate some ideas for you. But the human experience is what's going to make the difference. This is just to help you get that information faster, to brainstorm faster, and to get you moving in your creation of your documents. Now, I'll talk a little bit too about how to use this for interviews and other things that don't have anything to do with writing. It's all about what you're asking. So using it to ask those questions. You're going to want to clarify your inputs in order to get different information that isn't standardized to every person. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you just put in very bland, ambiguous, very vague, like I could have said, find me a hotel in California. And it would have come up with all sorts of things, but I would have been like, yeah, that's not really what I want. So that's why you've got to iterate. Also, it's so challenging right now to stay updated with these models because they're changing so rapidly. They just came out like a year ago. They were just launched, and yet they've already changed their branding. They've already changed their name. It's almost like the space race. Who will get the best AI generator simulator the fastest? And so all of these tech companies are working on creating the best, most useful, helpful model. And they are learning at rapid rates with all the data that are coming in. But man, it changes quickly. So I do want you to be aware of that. Also, on the feedback, if the platform allows, go ahead and ask it for feedback. Ask it about its limitations or any of the responses it gives you that might have misleading answers. It's not smart enough to say no. So if you say which of these answers could be misleading or which of this information could be false, it should actually tell you at this point. And then the last thing I would say on a limitation is always look for a professional. This is why Career Connectors is so amazing, because they have coaches and they have resume writers and they have people who do this all day long, not necessarily through generative AI, but actual human beings doing the work. They're there to help you and assist you to go through your documents and what you're creating so that you can present yourself in the best way. So with that, let's go ahead and move to the next slide. While you were doing that, I'm just checking, will this session be available to watch later? The answer is absolutely yes. So Fanteep, I don't know if that's how you say your name, or Fanteep, it will be available later. All right, so what I want to turn you into today, if we have any success today, it's going to be your ability to become a prompt engineer. And prompt engineering is, what am I typing in that little text box when I get to ChatGPT or in Gemini or Copilot or Claude? And so here's how prompt engineering can help you. It can help you create your drafts. So letters, cover letters, personal statements. I work with a lot of students going to grad school. So personal statements is a big thing. It can help you with editing. So I have a lot of international students who their sentence structure or something like that may be grammatically incorrect. And so filtering it through an AI can really help them get their sentence structure and their writing to be better. Just an example there. I already talked about the bullet point generation and ideas around that. And it can also provide tips, or they can provide tips on how should I tailor my documents for the most effective reception of my reader. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Some of these things that you need to remember: the quality of the prompt, the information you provide, and the context of your search. I'll show you some examples of this in future slides. In fact, Rochelle just gave one, Rochelle Richardson, so everybody read hers. I'm looking for mid-senior level operations roles in the greater Orlando area. That is a prompt you could literally throw into ChatGPT. You could literally throw that into any of these AI generators, and then with your human brain, oh, look at that. It just gave me the top 5 companies or largest organizations. So maybe you tweak it a little bit. We'll show some examples of that. Specific and relevant keywords. When you're looking at the job description, when you're looking at the company's website and you're trying to identify for culture or something like that, you can just cut that data and paste it into one of these models so that the large language model is actually learning about that company and what they want, and will then give you suggestions, or can give you suggestions or tips if you ask for it. For example, I go to the values page and I cut and paste it and I throw it in the large language model and I say, please look at my resume and their values and tell me where there are a match and where there are gaps. Super easy. It's done in 30 seconds, where it may have taken you a little bit longer to come up with something like that. The personalization of your introductory and your subsequential messages. And when I say subsequential, it's more about iteration. I put in maybe something that's too vague or too broad. So then I ask a follow-up question. Okay, let's go ahead and edit that. Or there's a few words that I'll show you in some of these prompts that I've created that help us get beyond just boring and regular to maybe something a little more personalized. And then your interaction with AI. If you don't remember anything, treat it like your personal assistant. Treat it as Rosie the robot with the Jetsons. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, because this is where I think you're going to get a little excited. Oh, and I'm going to get a little excited because we don't have so much time left, but that's okay. I have a free gift for you. You're going to love it because it's going to give you step by step with all of these things. However, let's talk about some engaging or effective prompts. So put on your prompt engineering hat and take a look at this very first one, engaging with AI. This may not be the way that you have been asking questions or interacting with your AI. So what are the current job market trends in Central Florida for whatever that industry was, whatever your industry is? Some of you are from Massachusetts and doing not-for-profit. So what are the current job market trends in Massachusetts for not-for-profit? And then take what it looks, or take what it says, and then fact check it. Look at some of the information. Go out and say, is this company in Massachusetts? So that you feel confident in what it is telling you. Let's look at the one for seeking guidance. What are some potential career paths for someone with a marketing degree in, let's say, the healthcare industry? So we're now taking marketing and we're taking healthcare, and you already know this, looking at the previous example, and you could say in Central Arizona or the greater Phoenix area. So I just want you to get more complex or more intelligent, more specific is maybe a better word, with what you're asking in your prompts. Here's another one. What are mid-level salaries for an electrical engineer in the technology industry? Now, you can say chemical engineer, you could say data analyst, whatever it is, but I want you to insert yourself within some of this so that you're getting a better response from your personal assistant AI. So thank you, Arian. She's like, yes, please. Or Arian's saying, please put in your geography, because it changes as you go throughout the states. Some of you may actually want to put remote jobs or remote work. There's plenty of work out there, and remote is a valid area as well. So again, getting more specific with what you're saying. Let's go to the next slide. Because if you didn't have, nope, back one. There we go. Here's a few more. What are the most sought after programming languages for data science roles in the motion picture industry? So you notice how I'm playing this up a little bit. I'm trying to cross boundaries and get your minds thinking in new ways about how you can utilize this. Can you provide me examples of companies in, let's say, Tacoma, Washington, that hire entry level engineering degrees, or maybe senior level, or maybe graduate degrees? Or could you provide an example of a well-written cover letter for a marketing role? So notice how we're getting more specific. You could say cover letter and it's going to bring back all sorts of stuff. Some not good, some maybe better. This could actually get even more specific when you talk about marketing and what kind of, because is it social media marketing? Is this traditional marketing? Is this campaign marketing? So there's all sorts of ways for you to get a bit more specific with the way that you're talking. So just want to tell you that. I'm going to keep going as they pull the screen back because I have mine here ready to go. If you want to just work, because we're seeing I'm not seeing the PowerPoint anymore, but I just want to talk to you about an effective prompt pattern that you don't actually need to see on the PowerPoint to understand. But when you are generating these are, so next slide, this is just a simple format, the RTF format. It's the role, the task, and what kind of format do I want to use. So specify the role, like mid-level chemical engineer. What is the task that you want? I want a promotion to a senior role. And then what format? Well, I want it to be generated in what a senior level resume would look like. So this is a super simple way for you to start looking at engaging with whatever language learning model you're using. You're going to just say, okay, LLM, in the chat box, you're going to just say, this is the role I'm looking for. This is the task that I want to happen. And please produce it in this format. Produce it in a table. Produce it with bullet points. Produce it in a graph. You can do all of those things. But I just want you to think about this as a system for you to remember. RTF. Very, very simple. Okay. Now, this way of doing things is probably more in depth than what a number of you are used to. If you had a 2 or you were a 3 using AI, this may be all new to you. If you were a 1 or a 4 saying I'm already using this in my job search, then this is going to probably be helpful because it's all about your prompts and how you engineer them. So with that, there's a direct chat. Hi there, I worked in the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago, where part of my job was career services and recruiting, both sides. I'm now in Phoenix. Any insight to community colleges? That is a great prompt. And if you're asking me as a human, yes, I have some insight to that too. But I want you to test that actually in ChatGPT or Gemini and see what happens. So that's so great. I'm glad you asked the question. And I literally want you to put that into the chat and see what information you get. Now, going to the next slide. What this is again, everybody shortens the word to just AI. Generative AI, again, is the large language models that are open to the public, that are on Gemini, Copilot, Claude, all of these things. So don't get thrown off by the technical language. It's AI in your job search. Here's what's happened. We put a team of students together and we purchased ChatGPT 4 last summer and built this job search guide for our students. So there's some language in here or some software in some of this that you will not have access to, but I guarantee you, you're going to love this guide. For example, what is in this guide, and you can use the QR code, you can scan it, we tested it, you should be able to get it, and even if you don't, I included the link with my headshot and my bio for this, so that'll be sent out or posted later, but we are giving you free access to this. you will be able to then use it. It has prompts. For example, how do I improve a bullet point? Here is one specific prompt from this. Remember, role, task, format. Role, you are an expert resume writer. Here is a bullet point I have in my resume. No action needed for now. If you understand, please respond yes, not you in the chat, but I'm telling this to the model as if it's my personal assistant. Here's my bullet point, and I cut it from my resume and I paste it into the model. And then I hit return, and it says, yes, I understand that I am a resume writer. Here's a bullet point I have, and what would you like me to do with it? That's exactly what it'll say. Then my next prompt, it's a follow-up question. I'm going to say, give a few examples for a better result. This is what I want. So I'm going to say, rewrite this bullet point using the structure: accomplished, action verb, blank, by the measure Y that resulted in Z, whatever those X, Y, and Z you want to put in there. Or you can let the language model do it. Remember to use compelling language and keep the bullet point within 25 words. Here are some example bullet points that I've seen that I liked, and I just cut and paste them in. And then I hit return. And then you see what it comes up with. Now you're like, oh, this is good. This is really good. Wow, I'm liking this. And then you ask it the question, how can I quantify it? Give me examples either from my resume or from the job description about where I can quantify. So this is what this guide is doing. I'm literally reading from the guide right now. It's going to give you, here are the steps. Here are some sample prompts. Here's some things for you to play and say, I want you to play with this. I want you to not be afraid of AI. I want you to embrace AI and say, oh yeah, I can at least follow instructions. It's like following a recipe. And what you're going to find is you are generating so many more ideas and ways for you to showcase your value, who you are. And honestly, I want you to run this like you would run an Olympic race. You're training yourself for the moment that you send off that resume, for the moment that you are in front of that interview panel, and you've got all of this help behind you. Now, I just was talking about bullet statements. What you're going to love about this guide is we go through cover letters, we go through resumes, we go through coffee talks, or informational interviews, if that's what you want to call them. We go through regular interviews. And once you've learned all of this, you can start doing this on your own with AI about, give me some ideas about how to negotiate my salary for a mid-level to senior role as a technical engineer in the marketing world. So all of these things, there's the link for the QR code that just popped in. Now, my time is quickly drawing to a close. So what I want to do is, one, I want you to have this free gift that hopefully changes your whole life and that you use like it's your job search Bible. And I also want to tell you, the human in you is what I'm hiring. The human in you is who I'm looking for. The human in you is what's going to make the difference in my employment and in my company. So never lose that. Again, use this as your starting point, not as your ending point, but just play around with some of these prompts. Get yourself accustomed to this way of doing, because it's not going away. I just had a student the other day say, oh, let me GPT that. Remember when people said, hey, let me Google that? That was over 20 years ago, folks. Over 20 years ago. It's now, let me see how I can GPT that. Let me GPT that. So you've gotten all sorts of new vocabulary today. I do want to go ahead. We've left this up, but we also put the link in the chat, and it will also be on the after, whatever they call that, after the event on the website for Career Connectors. So it'll be there. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. One of the fun things about this is, here's the summary. Notice who wrote it. Why would I use AI? Well, for enhanced efficiency, personal matchmaking, I love that. AI offers tailored to your job. Skill enhancement, improving your skills, your qualifications to match the job. But that was written for you by ChatGPT, everyone. So as we come to a close with this, I've got about 4 minutes for questions, and I would love to answer any of those. Joey, do you have any of those right off the top? If not, I'm looking into the chat.
Yes, I think a couple of things that could be wonderfully helpful is great information, Justin. Can you help if I am using AI? What are probably the two biggest challenges that when I'm working on my resume that I'm going to come up against with my resume and AI that I should be aware of that I might not think of?
That's an excellent question. One is the download process. So if you ask the AI to put it or format it into a resume, you can download that, but you're going to have to export it to Word or to Google or things like that. That's for now. I imagine that within the next few months, they're going to get much better at that, but you will probably have to reformat when you literally copy and paste, or you right click and choose download. But that's one of the prompts you could say is, I would love for you to format this in an RTF rich text format, not the RTF that I was just telling you about. But you could coach it on how you want, or you could say, I'd like this to be able to download into a Google Doc. Please do it in that format. So that is a tricky one for some people, but it's not that tricky. Just know what you're asking for and know that you might have to make some adjustments. Another challenge that you might have with resume is, again, you're going to notice this right off when you do a look at the job description and you look at your bullet statements or your resume and you put them both into the LLM or the Copilot. It may need some more prompting in order for you to get what you want. And that's why we give you this guide, is so that you can be far more specific. The biggest challenge most people have is, that information's too general. And that's why I want to give you this guide to help you get more specific and generate better prompts. And so that's the goal, is how can I become an amazing prompt engineer, a prompt engineering Olympian, gold medal? Other questions?
There's a couple in the chat.
I see one here from Michael. It was, how do I send a file to AI and tell it what I want it to do? So that's a great question, Michael Rich. In Claude, you can just upload the file, or you can literally slide it from Word over into Claude. And Copilot just got better at that, but they're getting better at that. They used to be limited, where they said, "Oh, we can't take these types of files." So you're going to want to play around, whether it's Claude, whether it's Copilot, and see which one allows you to bring in the documents that you want. But they are making it easier and easier to be able to interact that way. Let's see. Oh, such useful information. How efficient. Oh, you're just saying thank you. Well, thank you, Mary Beth. I'm looking for, how do I send? Okay, we answered that one. Let me scroll down. I'm not seeing other questions.
How about a simple one like this, Justin? If I am so interested, I'm so intrigued, but where do I start? You gave us so many tools, so many options. If I needed to start today, what step is this?
Wonderful. This is a perfect place to start. You're going to download the guides and you're going to pick, it's super easy to navigate. You're going to pick your favorite part, or maybe the part that you are most concerned about in your job search. It's writing the job description. It's my resume I'm concerned about. It's actually reaching out to somebody to have a conversation about jobs in my field. And you're going to go to that section and you are literally going to follow the recipe. That's where I would love for you to start. And then when you have questions that come up or things like that, that's where I really want you to just start playing with it and asking the AI assistant the questions as if you were going to ask me or Joey or Jessica or Dave or anybody else who's presenting. I want you to literally ask it the question. You can also ask us, but try it out, see what happens. That's where you're going to become more proficient, more capable. It's where you're practicing. and where you're going to find your gold. So thank you so much. My time is up. And
Yes.
you all, I wish you all the best as you continue with your AI experience. Welcome to it.
Yes, Justin, thank you. Everyone, if you will do me a favor, put in the chat if there is at least 1 or 2 things you learned today from Justin with his energy. And if you loved him, let's give him some kudos. Thank you, Justin. Such energy, so much great content, so many things. And here's what I want to tell you all. I know that the little steps can work. My husband had been in the job search literally these last 3 months, and I can tell you that he had never used AI in his job search. I mean, that he was aware of. He started using ChatGPT, he started using JobScan, and can I tell you, he would come out of his office and say, Joey, I can't believe how easy this is. I can't believe how quick I did this or how many ideas I got. So if you're having any hesitation at all, please jump in. We'll send that guide. You'll get all that information in your post-event email. So there is so much more in our program today, so hang tight. You're going to hear from Dave Sherman. We're going to hear from Amanda Keems, and then we're going to go into breakout rooms where you can actually talk to the speakers. So it is my excited pleasure to introduce you to our next speaker today, Dave Sherman. He's been a longtime friend of Career Connectors and has a great passion for helping people find and land jobs. He has helped more than 1,000 people in sales and networking be incredibly successful and confident. He is a speaker, a trainer, and a coach, and has been doing that since 1999. Right now, catch this title, you guys. He is the Senior Sales Enablement Manager. How's that for a title? At Black & Veatch. And they are a large engineering, procurement, and construction firm that's been in business since 1915. So Dave lives in Phoenix. He's lived there for 40 years and is married to his beautiful wife, Lisa. He loves movies, golf, and any kind of travel. And his only real vice, if you want to know, is these days is red wine and a good cigar. Please help me welcome Mr. Dave Sherman.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hello, everyone. I gotta say a quick hello. Gretchen, it is great to know that you're here. It's been a long time since you and I have talked. I'm just thrilled to know that you're here. Folks, it is a pleasure to be here. You know, as Joey said, I have been a long-time advocate of Career Connectors. You know, plus the fact that I absolutely adore Jessica. And it's funny, people often ask me, why do I do this? And I'll be completely honest with you. I had a rabbi once tell me that one of the greatest mitzvahs you could do, mitzvah is like a good deed. One of the greatest mitzvahs you can do in life is to help somebody get a job, help somebody find a job. So I figured I could take my knowledge, I can help people get jobs, I could do mitzvahs, and I figured this was just too good to pass up. So this is why I do this. The interesting part is, when I first started speaking at Career Connectors, I had never been laid off. I hadn't been fired since my first job when I was 15. So you know, my background's in sales and networking, so I knew how to do all of this, but I really never experienced a lot of it. Well, I will tell you, I have had my chance to experience some of this. And my 2 most recent positions is where I really got good at finding a job quickly. What I am going to share with you, there's a better than average chance I'm going to tell you stuff that you already know. It might be that I'm going to tell you stuff that you've already heard all of this. My hope is that I'm going to say it in a way that will embrace you to try it, because everything I'm telling you works. I did it on 2 separate successful job hunts. It works. So I'll just tell you that. Also, the other thing about this is none of this is hard. 0. None of this will say, oh, you got to go and read 17 books. No, if you want to read 17 books, God bless you, go read 17 books. But what I am telling you today works. It's easy. All you got to do is make the commitment to do it. So let me tell you how, how I got in this position and what has gone on over me, for me since 2022. I worked for a company called MindBody. They do they did software, well, they still do. They do software for gyms, spas, and salons. I was there about 2.5 years, and I ended up leaving there in July of 2022. I then took 3 months looking for jobs. I submitted 240 job applications because I track all of this. I had 40 interviews and ended up landing a job at Sabre. This is the largest software provider for airlines, cruise ships, hotels, and it's also a software that I used when I was in the travel business in the mid-'80s. So this was just a perfect fit. I had an amazing boss. He was located in Sydney, which actually was kind of nice because there was only about 4 hours of crossover. So I never had to worry about him, trying to micromanage or anything like that. I loved this job. Well, as sometimes happens, 7 months after I landed this job, they had a large layoff of about 15% of their staff, and I was one of them. I will say to you, without going into any detail, getting laid off, in my opinion, is so much worse than if you are terminated, because you've done nothing wrong. So this was really, really hard for me. However, I didn't let it get in my way to be able to find another job because I like working and also I like earning money. So I now, on this job hunt, I took 2 months, put out 170 job applications, 26 interviews, and I ended up landing a job at Black & Veatch. Black & Veatch is a company that I never in a million years thought I'd be with. They are in engineering, construction, and procurement. My job is Senior Sales Enablement Manager, probably my favorite title that I've had in any job. My role is real simple. I help make their 1,100 people involved in the sales community more comfortable, confident, and successful when selling. They had never had anybody in this role before, so it's a great fit. I love the company, and it all worked out beautifully. So I'm a happy boy. I've been there a year. Things are cooking. So yeah, I am about as happy as I could be. So let me share with you how I landed these 2 jobs, one in 3 months, one in 2 months. I will also let you know, with a little cherry on top, both jobs were significant jumps in pay. So, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen with all of you, but just it's something to consider. So here are my tips for you. I have 11 minutes to give you as much information as possible. So here we go. Tip number 1. All of you are saying you're in career transition. You're unemployed, however you want to look at it. You are not unemployed. Your job is to find a job, and it has to be treated that way. You cannot land a job quickly if you spend a half an hour on your computer and then you go to the gym and then you come back and you do what you have to do and you play with the dog or do your laundry and then spend another half an hour on the computer. No, when I did this, I was at my desk. Now, I'm an early morning guy. You don't have to get up this early. I was at my desk at 6 a.m. every single morning. Every morning. Okay, Fridays, I might have gotten there at 8, or if I decided I might take Friday off. But you have to put in the work. You have to put in the hours. I spent a minimum of 25 to 30 hours every week looking for jobs. Every week. And some people said, well, how did you find jobs to apply for? How did you find 240 places that you could apply? Let me continue. I will also share with you, I'm not going to get into this because there are people involved in career connectors that are so much better at this than I am. I used LinkedIn exclusively. LinkedIn was just an absolute godsend for me. I have been involved in LinkedIn forever. I was an entrepreneur for 16 years, and so I love LinkedIn. That is what I use to find all my job openings. So the thing that I'm going to recommend to you that was the most helpful was you have to make sure you clarify your job title. Because if somebody says to you, what are you looking for? And you go, well, I don't know. Well, guess what? There are no places in LinkedIn for you to say, what are you looking for? Well, I'm really not sure. And a whole bunch of responses come back. You have to have a clarified title. And I will also say to you, this is what worked specifically for me. I come from the sales enablement world. I've been in sales enablement since way before it was called sales enablement, but I knew that was the position I wanted. So I looked up sales enablement director. I looked up sales enablement manager. I looked up sales enablement. I looked at director sales enablement. I looked at manager sales enablement. My point is, I knew what I was looking for. Now, I understand I was lucky because I've been in this world a very long time. So I know what I do. I know what I'm good at. So it was, sorry, luck's not the right word. This is something that I know about as clear as anything, that this is what I love to do. I tell people that I meet at Black and Veatch, this is truly a dream job for me because every single day I get to help salespeople be more comfortable, confident, successful when selling. How much better than that can it get for somebody in my role? You have to know what you're looking for because that's what you're going to put in the search box. And I'm sure, Justin's information about, the AI world, holy cow. I mean, you can get anything, you can learn anything. You basically can put something in a search box and basically scan the entire internet to see how it can help you or what it might be able to do for you. But if you put in there, yeah, I'm looking for a job, but I'm not sure what. Okay, so you got to make sure, and whatever that is, if you're not sure, pick something and try that. So say you pick a title and you go and you spend a week or so looking for jobs in that title, and the responses aren't as great as you want, or the pay isn't great. Come up with a different title. But folks, if you cannot say to somebody, this is what I'm looking for, number one, it's going to be very hard to be able to do anything online. And the worst part is, and we'll talk about this, it's my last tip, I got to keep moving, is people around you, if you say to them, what are you looking for? Well, they're not going to be able to help you. So I'm going to get into that on my last tip. So let me pull away from that one. Another tip on how I got to apply for so many jobs, they have job descriptions. Please understand that job description is a wish list. There is no way that they are ever looking for somebody. Let me rephrase this. They would like to find somebody like that, but nobody exists. They put all that stuff in there because you're going, oh, what else would you like them to do? Oh, I'd love them to do this. Oh my God, wouldn't it be great if they did this? The job description does not mean you have to know all of that. It is a dream list for most companies. My recommendation, if there is 10% of the stuff in that job description that you feel you are capable of doing, especially the main core of the job you're looking for, apply. Because don't judge yourself out of something Don't take yourself out because you're not sure you're qualified. Let the company look at it and say, yeah, this person doesn't fit. So what? I filled out 240 applications. I got 40 interviews. Somebody do the math on that. Okay, I put out a lot of applications before I got interviews. So apply for anything over 10% of what's in the job description, anything. Because the worst thing's going to happen is, one, you won't get any response. Two, you might get one of those things saying thanks for whatever, okay? But there's also the chance someone's going to go, this person has the background that I'm looking for. And remember, plain and simple, this is a numbers game. You apply for 20 jobs, you have 20 opportunities to get an interview. You apply for 100 jobs, you have 5 times the amount of opportunities to get interviews. Okay. Last thing I want to share with you is using my 4 most favorite words. Who do you know? Because if you are looking for something and you know what you're looking for, or you have an idea of companies you'd like to work for, or kind of examples of companies that you would look for, those words will help you more places than anything else. So for instance, say you're looking for a manager job in banking. So anybody that you know, any friends of yours, any family, because the challenge you'll have is friends and family want to help you. You just have to make it easy on them. You can't expect to, say, oh yeah, my brother's not helping me. Oh, he just, I don't know what's going on. Well, it's probably that you haven't given them the opportunity to, you haven't given them enough information to help you. So if you say something like, what I'm looking for is I'm trying to find anybody that is in the banking business. It doesn't have to be a manager. It doesn't have to be the CEO, because whole 6 degrees of separation. Many of you go in interviews and you're trying to get the hiring manager. Well, guess what? That's the bullseye. I'm a big golfer. The hiring manager is the hole. Okay, when I hit golf balls, it goes everywhere else besides the hole. Sand traps, lakes, roughs, behind a tree. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the ball again. And I'm going to get closer. And then I'm going to hit the ball again, and then I'm going to putt it, and it's going to go in the hole. But it's going to take some time. So understand this, who do you know? Ask people, who do you know in this industry? I'm trying to do, I was looking for something in sales enablement. So I was looking for anybody involved in any level of sales management, sales coaching, things like that. So I would approach these people and I go, I'm looking for something in sales enablement. Who do you know that might be looking for somebody who wants to develop a sales department, things like that? And I got leads from that. I did, because networking is the key to all of this. But I'm on my last minute, and I have been doing this with Career Connectors forever. And I've never gone long, because before Jessica now uses the word ish. So you have to be done at like 10:20-ish. You had to be done on time, or there was no, she never did that, I swear to God. So, quick review. Treat your job like a job. Treat this like a job. Put in the same effort in finding a job that you did when you had a job. Second, clarify your job title. Come up with what you are looking for. Something that you can find online, because there are so many resources. I use LinkedIn. Somebody mentioned Career Builder. I've also used ZipRecruiter. There are so many resources, but the first thing they're going to ask is, what are you looking for? If you don't have an answer, they're not going to be able to help you as well as you want. Remember, apply for any job that you can do 10% of the stuff in the job description. And last, every person you know, family, friends, networking people, stuff like that, always ask them the question, who do you know? And with that, folks, done on time again. I hope you found this helpful.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dave. Again, another phenomenal presentation. I'm going to ask you 2 questions based on one of the things you said. If everybody that's in the chat, I'd like you to put in the chat, what is your specific career title? We're going to take 30 seconds and practice. What is a specific career title that you are looking for? Drop it in the chat. While everybody's doing that, Dave, answer the question for me this, please. You said a profound statement, which I think is integral for people in the job search. Don't judge yourself out of something. Love that. So you said, don't judge yourself out of something. So if I'm someone who tends to talk themselves out of, oh, I'm not quite qualified for that, I'm not enough, because as we all know, when we're in the job search, our shall we say, our confidence isn't always heightened to the maximum. So
Right.
what is one thing you would tell me to do, how to not do that?
You know, I understand. I go, you know, I've been through this. You know, when I got laid off, I was crushed, because the worst part about being laid off is I didn't get laid off because I did anything wrong. We were moving the needle. We were doing stuff. So getting laid off sucked.
Yes.
It was one of the worst things that ever happened to me. So, but when I started looking for jobs and I started looking at job descriptions, I said to myself, I have 2 options. Either I can look at this and say, nah, I can't do this, or I'm going to apply and I'm going to make them tell me that. Because the thing is you have an image of yourself. But when you send a good resume out, a good cover letter out, you are sending a different image to these places that you are applying to. So let them make the decision on whether you have the qualifications or not. Because again, if you don't, like if you're applying to be a brain surgeon and you don't have anything in that, they're going to say thanks, but no thanks. But I'm telling you right now, if you apply to more jobs, even though it says some things in there that you might not be able to do, you have to. Because I knew, I mean, I got a job in an industry I know about. 0. Absolutely none. But I knew what they wanted. So that would be the best answer I can give.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, and again, Dave will be in the breakout rooms for about 20 minutes. He'll be there till 11. So let's get on to our final speaker, Amanda. I'm so excited, all of you, to have Amanda with us today. She is with Arizona at Work, City of Phoenix. And the reason why we're so excited is Amanda's going to tell you about, you've heard about how to use AI in your job search. You've heard about how to stay consistent with your job search, how to treat it like a job, how to network. And now Amanda's going to talk about, hey, what are some other practical tools we can use specifically in the state of Arizona. So if you're not from Arizona, stay tuned, because we're probably 10 minutes from jumping right into the breakout rooms where you can talk to resume coaches, career coaches, LinkedIn coaches, financial coaches, of course, our speakers, and Best Companies AZ. Upskilling opportunities from LearnKey will be there also. So Amanda Keams is a workforce development specialist, as I mentioned, at the City of Phoenix, and has over 10 years experience in this realm. She, in 2017, catch this, you guys, she assisted in the launch of the first employment center inside Lewis Prison, where she was supporting the governor's initiative to reduce recidivism. I've been practicing that for the last 24 hours. Recidivism basically means if you are in prison, how do we keep you from doing a reoccurring offense? So we want to keep you out. And so Amanda is a member of the National Association of Workforce Development Professionals and is a certified workforce development professional. Amanda, the floor is yours, my friend.
Hey guys, I know following Justin and Dave is a hard act to follow, but I'm going to try to make this government slideshow as exciting as anybody has ever seen.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to go over the adult and dislocated worker career services. Can we go to the next slide, please? So Arizona at Work City of Phoenix is part of the statewide workforce development system, and our main goal is to get you employed. We have an exciting video that I'm going to play for you to kind of get a little better idea of the inside of who we are. Can we play that video, please?
And as that's queuing, please know that in your states, you have a similar entity. If it's not Arizona at Work, in your state, you have an entity. So these services can be similar. Oh, you know what, Wendy, the sound's not playing. So we'll do a quick pause and we'll launch it one more time. Yeah, she's gonna relaunch this and it'll work this time. Sometimes when we
high-paying jobs or
Yeah.
careers. And then we also help those employers try to fill vacancies and retain their talent.
So I got out of federal prison and I was at the Federal Halfway House, and there was another guy there who just got out, and he went through Arizona at Work to get like his CDL license. And he was telling me about the program, and I was like, you know, and I wanted to be like a peer support, work with people with addiction, and they had that program. And so I went there and signed up.
So we work across a variety of different populations. So we work with unhoused or homeless individuals. We also work with justice-involved individuals, people who are perhaps low income, refugees and immigrants. So it kind of runs the gamut. So I'd like to think that we can help pretty much almost everybody.
My work advisor, she was always there, like, you know, like she was there on my graduation. She was following up months and months and months after I got the job. Even it's been 3.5 years, and every like 5-6 months, she's checking in to see how I'm doing, and I love that.
We're funded through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. And so it's a federal grant that kind of flows through our state. In our last program year, we were able to help about 3,000 individuals through our adult dislocated worker and youth programs.
Whatever, you can come out of prison or you just haven't worked forever, like that program is really good because there's so many other options. Like you can get your CDL, you can, I don't know all the specific stuff, but there's so many options that they, you know, that they like recommend and stuff like that. So went from a peer to a lead to a case manager, you know, like I'm moving up and up and up. So like it's, and then now I kind of don't want to get out of the field of behavioral health. And so like it absolutely opened a lot of doors.
All right, can we jump to the next slide, please? So the Work Innovation Opportunity Act, also known as the WIOA, is a federal grant in the United States that is designed to help job seekers accessing employment, education, training, and support services to succeed in the labor market and to match employers with the skilled workers they need. WIOA is not considered an entitlement program for several key reasons. Unlike entitlement programs such as Social Security or Medicare, where eligible individuals are guaranteed benefits, the WIOA does not provide guaranteed services to all who qualify. Our access to services is dependent on the availability of funds and prioritization of applicants. It's just kind of the information that was in the beginning of the slide, so I kind of didn't want to make sure you didn't miss any of the information on the who we are. Can we jump to the next slide, please? All right, under the Arizona at Work umbrella, we have multiple agencies that consist with your job searching process. So we have the Department of Economic Security, we have vocational rehab, and we have a variety of partnerships with our community partners that can assist along with us with helping find employment. The City of Phoenix, employment doesn't necessarily mean any job or any occupation. We look at a variety of factors when developing your individual employment plan. Your education are based on your education, abilities, interest, and personality types. Our goal is to help you attain and retain employment that leads to economic self-sufficiency, which is wages comparable or higher than wages from previous employment. Next slide, please. Here are some of the services that you can walk into any of our Arizona at Work centers and receive. Some at our basic career level, our career service level, kind of means you can walk in and you don't have to fully enroll. We're going to get into eligibility factors. But one of the awesome things is Dave had mentioned, really capturing what industry you want to apply for, what that job title is. One of our first services that you can receive, we have Job Club, and we do career exploration, and you really do a deep dive on what occupation is the best fit for you based on your interest level, your work preference, your personality. So you can go through that workshop and not have to provide any documents. You can kind of narrow down the top 3 or the top 5 occupations that you want to start listing, to help you with identifying your job title that you're trying to go through. That is at our basic level. You can also we have, workshops, we have resume workshops, we have interview skills. You can meet with a career advisor to get some initial overall information on the program. But more in-depth services at our basic level, there are some information you'll have to provide for eligibility, for career coaching, any additional services. We do have our individual services, and that's you're actually enrolled in the program. You met eligibility, you turn in all your documents, and you're actually enrolled in the program. We do a development of employment plan, comprehensive assessments, career planning, job referrals, assistance with eligibility of financial aid if needed, support services, eligibility determination for training service, and occupational skills. So those are just some of them. So if you guys have more information, do visit one of our Arizona at Work centers, and they can, a career advisor would be happy to go over all of the additional information with you. Next slide, please. So this is our eligibility for our adult program, to be 18 or older, have the right to work in the United States, and for males, are in compliance with selective services. For individualized services, you would have to be 18 or older, also have the right to work, also meet the selective services, and then you would have to meet priority 1 or 2. As we had talked about funding, right now we're only enrolling participants in priority 1 or 2 for services, but if you come in and you may be priority 3 or 4, our services are offered virtually and in person. So you can connect with somebody and get as much information or any referral to supportive services that you're seeking. Next slide, please. This is our dislocated worker. This is a separate eligibility requirements from the first ones that we saw. So if you were recently laid off, at no fault of your own, you would be considered a dislocated worker. If your employer had a closure or a substantial layoff, you would be considered a dislocated worker. Same with self-employment dislocation, displaced homemaker, a spouse of an active member in the military service. So you wouldn't have to meet those priority 1 and 2 in the previous slide. You would automatically be eligible for this portion of our program. And then next slide, please. Although you might be eligible for the program, you might want to ask yourself, is the program a good fit for you? Will you be committed in the WIOA program participation requirements? Are you interested in professional growth and open-minded to new ideas and concepts? Can you commit to attending workshops, returning requested documentations, or undertaking scheduled tasks? A lot of the individuals who are in the process of job seeking, they have a lot going on at the same time. They have a lot on their plate. So a lot of times we see individuals come in and who are working with multiple agencies, and they just start throwing as much on their plate as they can. And then at some point, it's hard to manage. And so a lot of the partnerships start falling off right away because they're trying to manage everything. So it's really, really important to see what you can handle and only put on your plate what you can handle, but maybe have a reserve of those resources to pull back as needed. these are some great services. If you get into the point and you're like, yeah, I have a lot going on right now. This may not be perfect for me right now, but maybe in a couple weeks, you know, I can come back and revisit. So that's really trying to identify if it's a good fit for you at that time or when it is. Next slide, please. Here are all of our locations for our job centers. And just keep in mind, we do have job centers out of every state, but if you're in another state and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about relocating to Arizona, go ahead and reach out to us, because there's nothing in our policy that says somebody from another state can't receive any of these services. So definitely, you know, don't feel like just because you're not in Arizona, you might not get any more additional information, or maybe you plan on coming to Arizona and you can be a couple steps ahead before you get here. So our locations, we have a South office, contact number, and the email addresses that you see, these are for virtual services. So if you want to email any one of these offices, give them your name, your email address, your phone number, and let them know you're interested in speaking with a career advisor. Somebody will reach out to you within 24 hours. We have our West location. We have our North location. Our North location is currently under construction, so they're only going to be available virtually until November 31st. This is all I have for you guys right now. I will be in a breakout room, so if anybody has any additional questions, or if we have any, I'm not sure if there was any questions in the chat.
I don't think there were any questions in the chat. So, but Amanda will be available. Amanda, thank you so much for sharing your services. I love that every time I hear from someone at Arizona at work, I always learn more. I had no idea that if I was from a different state, I could also connect with you guys and just see if there's what's available for me. That's wonderful. So please go see Amanda. And again, if you are in Arizona, please go see her in the breakout room. If you're in another state, as she was mentioning, you can check in with her, but also there are state workforce services in every state. So please tap into those, some great resources out there. So I'm going to run through some really fast housekeeping things. Hang with me for about 3 minutes and I'm going to jump you right into breakout rooms. Before we do that, your feedback is so valuable to us. I'm going to ask Sharon to drop into the chat a link for a quick survey. The reason why I need you to do this survey, if you would please, it allows us to do these events for free. This data helps us to be able to let funders know, here's who we're serving, here's why we're serving them, and the survey will take you literally 20 seconds. So Sharon, if you can drop that into the chat, the survey link, that would be great. Let's see, there it is. So if you'll just click on that, and as soon as you are finished with that survey, if you can do me a favor and just put 1 in the chat so I know people are done. If we can speed through that really quick, I really want to get you in the breakout rooms. We've got some great coaches, best companies. AZ is going to be in there. And I'm going to go through some more announcements as we are going. If you are, next slide, please. If you are interested, like Dave was saying, do you know what you want? Our DISC assessment is a free assessment for you. And can I tell you, if you're in the job search, this is so helpful. Here's why. It gives you about 20 some pages of once you fill out the questionnaire, there's no right or wrong, fill it out. And then what I want you to do is I want you to pull it up and look at it. Great content in there. Good reminders of who you are, wonderful things that you can use on a resume. Please take advantage of that. That's free on the Career Connector site. And my team is going to be dropping some of these links into the chat. Again, all this will be sent on the post-event email as well. And then our webinar recordings, all of our recordings that we have, or all of these webinars are on our website. So we're going to move into the next slide. So special thank you to our corporate partners. We could not do this without you. You're going to be able to see a couple of them today. Best Companies AZ. I'm going to move right into the next slide. Best Companies AZ represents multiple hiring companies who are award-winning companies that are hiring. So please pop in to see Jenna and Denise in that breakout room. And then the next slide, next set of slides I'm going to move into is LearnKey. LearnKey is an upskill online platform, all different kinds of industries, all different kinds of ways to learn. Jeff will be here in a breakout room if you want to talk about this. We are constantly needing to upskill and stay sharp with what we're doing. So please take a poke into that. LearnKey, you'll find some great seminars in there, and you get some certifications for it. Okay, interested in, I'm going to pop right at our upcoming events. What's coming up? We have some big events coming up in September, our Red Hot Resumes. If you have not been to that panel, it is one of the most interesting, fun, and funny, interestingly enough, when we're talking about resumes, panels. We have a team of career coaches that just do a phenomenal job again in September on the 19th, one of our hiring events. This is a virtual hiring event, fastest growing industries. Always exciting, one of our signature events along with Red Hot Resumes. Don't miss that. And then also Interview with Confidence in October. In addition, if you are in the southern part of Arizona, we are doing some, Pinal County has contracted us to do some workshops for them. So if you want to pop down to the next slide, please. Those are some of the upcoming very specific, you can get very specific help with resume coaching and some interviewing and some other things. And we are wrapping up these slides. Interested in volunteering for us. We have, if you're interested in, and you are like, hey, I want to do some writing. I love to write. I've got some grant writing stuff that I could use some support with. You can help on these Zoom calls. If you're a certified or professional coach, we'd love you to come jump on our coaching team. Lots of opportunities to volunteer. And thank you, special thanks to all of our volunteers on Zoom support, all of our coaches who have been answering questions, and those that will be in the breakout rooms. Last thing I'm just going to mention, and this is not a thing, we are a nonprofit and we do get funded by grant funding, donations, and that kind of thing. So those of you, a lot of people have said, hey, how do we give back, Joey? Because once we've landed a job, there is no obligation. All these services are completely free, but a lot of people ask, how do we give back? And that's how you can donate. Okay, so we are ready for the moment you've all been really waiting for, so I can stop talking, is let's jump into the breakout rooms. Wendy, do you want me to talk about that, or are you going to?
Up to you.
Well, if you want to, go right ahead.
Sure.
Turn it over to you, breakout rooms.
So as soon as we get through this, I will open the breakout rooms, and you should be able to go down to, there's a little icon at the bottom of your screen that says breakout rooms. You should be able to go to that and click on those, and then choose the ones you would like to participate in. You can return to the main room at any time. Just make sure when you leave that you leave the breakout room and not the whole session. And you can jump from room to room. You can question the host from the breakout room. And you can control your display once you're in the breakout room, and there will be screen sharing available to the hosts in those breakout rooms. And I'll send an announcement out. I think it's a 5-minute announcement before we close the rooms.
Yes.
Yes. So Joey, I'm going to let you go through this next slide, because when I lost connection, I lost my breakout room. So I'm going to have to recreate them really quickly.
Okay. So while she's doing that, and she'll be able to do that really quick. So hang on about 1 more minute and she'll have those up. You can see the different breakout rooms that are there. As she mentioned, you can move around. If for some reason, when we open them up, that you're not able to go into the breakout room, or you're on your cell phone and you can't see where the breakout room icon is, no worries. Just either put it in the chat, and we will, we have some folks in our team will help you move into the breakout room that you want to move into, or you can unmute. And here's the best part. Once you go into the breakout rooms, you can feel free to unmute. And the speakers will be, they're ready to go. As a reminder, Justin Jones will be in there talking about AI. Dave Sherman will be there until about 11 o'clock, talking about how do you stay persistent, how do you network. And then Amanda will be in there with all of the amazing Arizona at Work services. And of course, our career coaches, our financial coaches, a LinkedIn coach. And Wendy, we're just ready to go whenever you are. And that's not a pressure thing, but whenever you're ready to go, we're ready to go.
Okay, give me just another couple of minutes.
Okay. Let's do this. In the chat, drop for me, if you would, please, what has been the top 2 takeaways that you've had from this event today? What are your top 2 takeaways? FT or RTF. Okay, clarifying roles, make sure good, fulfillment, good. Interesting. Huh. The RTF, Justin, is getting quite a bit of traction. Good, look at all this great feedback. Okay, focused job title, that is pretty amazing. The more focused that job title is, not only does it help you locate jobs, but it helps you when you're networking. Hey, those of you that, on
Okay.
a little side note, are you ready, Wendy?
Yep, we're ready.
Okay, well then she is going to open up the breakout rooms. And again, locate the breakout rooms, you should see a pop-up screen. Speakers, I'm gonna ask you to pop into your breakout rooms. If you just scroll down, speakers, and you can see where, just click where you'll see a blue button that says join. So those of you that wanna go into breakout rooms, go have chats with people. And Best Companies AZ has a lot of companies that are hiring. Financial coach Gian is amazing. So feel free to jump in with him. Again, LearnKey, don't forget LearnKey and all the upskilling. So important right now to stay sharp on things. And there people go. And again, in your chat, in the chat, if you aren't sure where to go or you can't go somewhere, just type in the chat or you can unmute and we can help you. Great, everybody's moving into the breakout rooms. I see they're filling up. Our financial coach is still.
This is Justin, and I'm not seeing where to drop into mine. There it is. Found
Oh,
it.
did you find
Bye-bye.
it? Okay. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, let's see. I can't find my breakout rooms. Okay, Jamie, where do you?
You know what? I just found it. It popped up on the left.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Anyone else? If you need help going into breakout rooms, if you're just coming in, then we are in the breakout room session. We've got all kinds of coaches that you can go talk to. We've got our main speakers that you can go talk to. Best Companies AZ, who's talking about companies that are hiring. LearnKey, all kinds of great companies. Oh, yes, Wendy, the survey winner. Thank you so much. I totally did not announce the survey winner, but we will contact Steve Forbes. Thank you for doing that. Let's see, is Steve Forbes still in this main room? No, it looks like he's already moved. Okay. Okay, so those of you that are in the main room, if you are interested in popping into breakout rooms, you can actually talk directly to our coaches. Resume, LinkedIn, career coaches, financial coaches. You could talk to our keynote speakers. You can talk to Best Companies AZ, who's got hiring companies they can tell you about. Also LearnKey, which is amazing because that is all kinds of upskilling. LearnKey has a couple of their seminars that they are offering for free that you can go in and take. So please definitely go. I invite you to go into those breakout rooms. There's really nothing more formal in this main breakout room, or I'm sorry, in this main session. We'll be here and then we'll close out the rooms at 11:30. So we're so glad you're here today. So Malcolm and Lori and Narisa and Rebecca and Sandra. If any of you have any questions or you want help going into breakout rooms, or Harem, feel free to unmute, feel free to type in the breakout room, which room you want to go to, name of the second speaker. Oh, Jessica got that one. I see that. Okay, and Lynn, how do I go into the breakout rooms? Okay, Lynn, on the bottom of your screen, you should see an icon that says breakout rooms. If you do not, just unmute. And if you want to tell us where to go or type in the chat what room you want to go to, and we'll either, you can type it in the chat, which room you want to go to, or you can unmute and tell us and we'll send you.
I'm on an iPhone and the screen is tiny. I can't see any links that you're referring to.
No worries. Do you want to go talk to, let's see, do you want to talk to one of our coaches? Do you want to, right now our financial coach doesn't have anybody in there. All the other coaches do. LearnKey just has a few people in it. That's upskilling. Who did you want to talk to? And I'll just move you there. That's easy.
LearnKey.
LearnKey. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You got it. I will send
Perfect. Thank
there
you.
now. Of course. Thank you for being here. There you go. You should see something that pops up on your phone. A little box that pops up that says, do you want to go there? And you have to say yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Bye.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Somebody just said Lynn, she wants to go to the financial coach. Oh, okay. I think sure we already moved her. Okay, anyone else that is interested? Sandra, I'm not going to say this name right, but I'm going to sure try. Paratosh, if we can help you move into a room, or Malcolm or Lori, Jules, Craig, and Harem, Anthony, Angie, if any of you want help moving into breakout rooms, you can unmute or you can just type in the chat. We're happy to help. Somebody just unmuted. Someone unmuting and wanting to go into a breakout room. Can I help you get into a breakout room? Teresa or
Sorry, I was
Yolanda?
switching breakout rooms and I
No
forgot I had my
worries.
phone
Hey,
on.
Yolanda, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Thanks.
Mhm.
I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, such good content, wasn't it?
Yes, it
Great
is.
speakers today. So glad you're here.
Yes.
And you keep
I
up
have
the good
to s-
work, girl. Hi,
Thanks.
hi,
I have-
Teresa.
I have to say, I've been out of work for almost 3 months now. And I am getting so discouraged. So discouraged. And I'm sorry.
Your cat agrees. Your cat agrees. Teresa, here's what I want to tell you. The average person right now is taking between 6 to 9 months. Not that that's encouraging, but most people, here's one of the things I'm going to invite you, the tip of the week. As you are working on submitting resumes, and you probably are doing this, use a program called JobScan or something like that, where you can drop in job descriptions and then drop in your resume. Because you want to make sure that the number of keywords you have on your resume versus the job description